World Pulses Day, Ukraine Market Outlook, Dry Beans Panel. In 2020, the area Ukraine's farmers ceded to pulse crops contracted due to low prices and poor returns. This was true for all pulses except kidney beans. Strong demand from the EU saw Ukraine's kidney bean area expand, and consequently 2020-2021 exports are expected to be up 10 to 15% on the year. Turkey and Pakistan are also significant buyers. Find out how planting and market conditions are shaping up for Ukraine's 2021 kidney bean crop from our panel of experts. Sergei Fyofilov of Ukragro-Consult, analyst. Katya Sambin of Chippewa Valley Bean, moderator. Oleg Bilavets of Billy Grain, Michael Kempadick of Schulte and Mark, and Nick Halliwell from AgroLider LLC. The Dry Bean Panel, next on GPC's Ukraine Market Outlook.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear GPC members, good afternoon and welcome to our World Pulses Day 2021 celebrations. This is the Ukraine Market Outlook on dry beans. My name is Katya Sambin. I'm Sales and Marketing Director at Chippewa Valley Bean, and I am overjoyed to be your moderator here today. May I straight away thank GPC for the exceptional convention platform here developed. Those of you who might have attended the interactive virtual conference from this morning might have experienced already the amazing degree of truthfulness, but at the same time, painfulness, exhibition fatigue we normally experience during the real life event. So once again, kudos to GPC for its continued effort in keeping our industry informed, vibrant, and well connected, while keeping our social distance. So please be safe, be vigilant, and be COVID aware while attending our conference today. And thank you also to our distinguished panel guests joining us today from diverse world locations and representing relevant bean interests in the Ukrainian region. And here they are, Mr. Sergei Fyofilov from UKR Agro-Consult, Mr. Oleg Bilevet from Billy Grain, and Mr. Nick Halliwell from AgroLeader, and finally Mr. Michael Kempadick from Schulte und Mark. Welcome, you're very welcome here today. So gentlemen, undoubtedly beans have been very much the topic of our conversation again this season. And the perfect storm of an unpredicted US dramatic acres increase coupled up with a still overall tight market, the global market supply with severe logistics challenges, key originators such as China gravely out of the supply picture, and several market changing conditions suffered by colored beans in Argentina, for example, have deeply affected the market. But what will the future hold for beans in 2021? Stay tuned to this market outlook on beans to find out exactly. And without any further ado, let me introduce and also thank our analyst, Mr. Sergei Fyofilov from UK Agro-Consult, for all that very important data picture. May I remind the audience that Q&A is welcome on this panel and will be addressed towards the end of the session. Sergei, welcome to GPC's Ukraine Market Outlook on dry beans. You have the floor.
Thank you, Kate. Well, hi everybody. Nice to see you though online. Thanks to Global Pulses Confederation, to Ukrainian Pulse Association and sponsor of this event, Arab and Indian Spices Company, well, for the possibility to make a presentation about dry beans market. Ukraine, traditionally beans are cultivated in western part of Ukraine, well, more than 35, between 35 and 40% of Ukrainian dry bean is produced in these regions. The first reason of this is that precipitation rate in the western part are much better compared to other region, and the other is temperature deviations are not so sharp in the west like in other other parts of Ukraine. Moreover, dry beans are exported mainly to European countries, and logistics advantages also play a considerable role in the kidney beans market. Well, dry bean market prices have been going up since 2018 in spite of all volatilities in the commodity market. And this factor, plus quite adequate returns to farmers, promoted dry beans area was the only expanded pulses area compared to other pulses for the recent years. Dry beans have been the most profitable among other pulses in Ukraine for the recent seasons. This encourages farmers to expand beans area, but you see this might result in oversupply of kidney beans with corresponding price corrections in the coming seasons. Even in the season of 2020-21, in the current season, rate of beans rates of beans price increase was lower compared to all other pulses. Sure, foreign demand is key driver of bean area and production and export, and stable demand might change this forecast. Well, similar to other pulses, beans production developed until 2018 quickly. Then planted area stabilized and went up slowly. But still beans yields are the highest among all other niche pulses, excluding yellow peas. Well, though beans yields varies greatly from year to year. Well, supply demand for beans, I put my 2020 beans production at 80,000 tons. This is more compared to previous year. Export estimates is at 30,000 tons, and for the 7 months of the current season 2020-21, beans export amounted to 13.5 thousand tons. It is from July to January, and this is roughly 45% of total export potential. Well, this domestic consumption of beans is higher compared to lentils and chickpeas, and so we put foreign shipments in the current season only at 30,000 100,000 metric tons, though this is quite impressive growth compared to previous season. It is almost 60% plus. Well, traditionally, the biggest part of dry beans is exported in the very beginning of the season, and then export declines impressively, and well, as domestic prices go up, and together with exhausting domestic stocks. Well, kidney beans export in general is second by size after the chickpeas export, if we put aside the yellow peas. So for Ukrainian farmers, this crop is rather attractive, actually, from all points of view, from prices and marginality. Well, key destinations include European Union countries. Well, roughly 70% of all kidney beans are exported to this destination, and Italy is #1 importer, then Romania, Poland, Spain, and Turkey and Pakistan are also important target markets for Ukrainian beans. Well, sorry, this slide is in mix in Ukraine, in English and in other language, and as I received this slide just half an hour ago, sorry, but this is about a growing potential of Ukrainian producers of seeds for dry beans. Well, the better seeds are for plantings, the better production potential we farmers face. And I'd like to refer to one of the previous speakers of our conference, to Sanil Kumar Singh from India. In his speech, he stressed out that Indian government pays a special attention to the to supply Indian farmers with high quality pulses seeds. So Ukrainian potential in seed of better quality also expands rather quickly. Well, actually, this is all about market, and well, I would like to draw your attention to the pulses report, daily, weekly, monthly, prepared by Ukraine Consult Company. If you are interested, I'm ready to open for you free demo access. Well, it wouldn't be any problems. The next event I'd like to mention in my speech is big event, Black Sea Grain Conference in April 14-15. Well, this conference will be in two formats, online and offline. So I will be happy to welcome you as participants of this conference. Well, thank you very much for your attention. Well, I will be happy to answer to your questions and take part in the discussions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sergey. Thank you very much for your presentation. Dear panelists, we heard Sergey's introduction regarding Ukraine market outlooks on kidney beans. I think it might be useful at this stage, Sergey, to distinguish between kidney and other beans. The numbers that you refer are to all bean classes in your presentation, correct?
Yes, well, it is. Well, in my presentation, I focuses on traditionally varieties which are grown in Ukraine. This explains all other related issues like well, quality and also the direction of exports.
Indeed, therefore, beans are not particularly kidney beans. This is for the benefit of our global audience who with kidney would understand only what the word exactly means. So thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you for your question, yes.
Thank you. So moving on to our panel of guests, gentlemen, as we see buyers' continued interest in beans, and we took a look at Sergey's numbers here. How do you see the current Ukrainian bean supply develop on the base of these amazing numbers, if I may say so, and how do they fit into the overall world bean output? Who would like to answer the questions? Perhaps, I don't know, Michael, you are a European market expert. How do you see these numbers fitting into our global supply and demand?
Yeah, I mean, Ukraine has essentially evolved as a new supplier of, let's call it edible beans, because I think edible beans is what is meant when we're talking about kidney beans in Ukraine. So it also includes a lot of white beans, navies, which probably Katja, you and I would not put under kidney beans. So it's the edible beans. And yeah, Ukraine has been, let's say, a welcome new addition to the world supply of beans, and as we've seen, the majority is going to the European market. So that, of course, is a fortunate situation to have one of the core bean markets right in front of the door. Fairly easy transport with established transport supply chains, and I believe also a distinguished interest in Europe to see new suppliers come up. So the development in Ukraine has certainly been supported by buyers in Europe. Ukraine is competitive price-wise. Quality is probably an issue they still have to work on. When you look at the main buyers, Romania, Italy is certainly a quality buyer. Some others as well, some others not. What we've seen is that the quality has improved. It's probably still not a North American standard, but there are large enough markets for the quantities that Ukraine is producing to be able to export the large part of that. And also buyers that are not super quality conscious, which has helped to promote the development. And certainly also the establishment of the Ukraine Pulse Growers Association. I think that's 5 years, 6 years ago this year, has been very helpful to promote Ukrainian pulses, and there certainly is a large interest as well. And we'll get to the organic part later on, I believe. So that, in brief, is my answer.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Michael. Actually, yes, I do agree with you. It's very much a growing new scenario for us, and a very welcome one too. So, but further question perhaps to Michael and Oleg, you're more in-country players. What would you say are at the moment the current challenges for the supply chain in Ukraine? What are the constraints the industry is facing in order to keep up what Sergey has highlighted is a recently growing trend in bean output? I don't know who wants to answer, or if you have any view. Oleg, I don't know if you're familiar with the challenges of the supply chain in Ukraine. Perhaps the word corn and soy might ring some bells at the moment.
Точно. Да, большое спасибо за предоставленную возможность задать несколько также вопросов и ответить на ваши вопросы. Есть у нас реально украинских аграриев, фермеров проблемы, и в первую очередь они связаны с технологиями, с оборудованием, потому что это прямо пропорционально связано с качеством конечного продукта фасоли. То качество, которое требуют у нас европейские партнеры. Поскольку мы знаем, что фасоль, страны Северной Америки, они в основном собирают в 2 этапа. Это скашивание и дальше волок, а дальше уборка с волка специальными комбайнами. Это дает возможность собрать ее менее поврежденную и чистую. Кроме того, когда скашивают фасоль волок, она в волке доходит и набирает свой цвет правильный. Вот. И вот эти технологии не все еще используют. Все-таки в Украине больше используют традиционное скашивание, это напрямую, и дальше специальными машинами очищают, где качество, по крайней мере, гораздо желает лучшего. Поэтому есть проблемы у нас реально с технологиями по выращиванию и с оборудованием в основном по сбору урожая. И мы бы, конечно, были бы очень благодарны нашим американским, канадским, бразильским партнерам, если бы они могли бы поделиться с нами вот такими вот вещами.
Definitely. Thank you very much for the contribution, and also thank you very much for the Russian interpretation, because despite of my name, I wouldn't have understood Oleg otherwise. So yes, the technology is very much part of the key effort in bean production, something that we are very aware of. And to this extent, also there is a question from the floor from Arye de Roy, from an international European buyer, asking, with pesticide control being more and more of an issue, a strict issue in Europe, how is the Ukrainian bean production addressing this requirement, compelling requirement from the EU? I suppose this is a very delicate time for seeding intentions in Ukraine as well. Nick, do you have a view on these seeding intentions? How are the farmers receiving, the possibility of further incrementing their acreage, and how are they addressing EU requirements on pesticides?
Well, I think one thing one needs to start with is a bit of context on the numbers. So we've seen in Sergei's presentation an estimate for a planted area of 50,000 hectares. But I think we've got to recognize that a large part of that, the majority of that, is household farms, so-called household sector, which never reaches the commercial market because they're not the type of beans, they don't have the quality that's required. And so they're never going to reach export markets. When we look at what I would call commercial farming operations, the statistics for last year were 14,000 hectares, which is basically a third of that number. And I think that's the number that we're going to need to focus on growing over the coming years. But it's very clear that it's going to take time. With exports as well. I mean, I think Sergei told the story himself, that we've had 14,000 tons of exports so far this year of beans from Ukraine to February. But the majority of the exports tend to take place in the first part of the marketing year. And so, for me, it's going to be a question of do we get back up to last year's number of 19,000 tons, not whether we get close to 30, which I don't think we have any chance of getting anywhere near in terms of exports. And so I think it's really important for the market to keep in perspective that Ukraine's ability to increase production and to increase exports is something that there's a long-term potential there, but it's only going to happen very, very gradually. Farmers who are trying out, for example, farmers who typically grow in soya, they may experiment by trying out growing beans. They may have problems with the technology in the first year, problems with the seeds. This year, a lot of them had problems with the yields due to the weather conditions. And so that tends to turn farmers off. And so when they see a high soybean price, as we have now, they say, well, why should I go to the trouble next season and plant beans? So I think we're going to see those planted area numbers grow very slowly. Well, not very slowly, but it's going to take time. And what's going to be required to support that is a steady supply of quality seeds, which is obviously crucial. But also coming back to the point about buyer requirements and pesticide requirements from EU buyers, it requires a lot of support and handholding to explain to the farmers and to make sure they understand fully the pesticide requirements, so that there aren't risks further down the supply chain. So in general, I would say we have to be quite cautious in our expectations for what the Ukrainian market can deliver.
Thank you, Nick. So Sergey, yes, so it's a more cautious approach, perhaps from one of the Ukrainian industry players to your estimates and to the numbers that you have shown us for the 2021 season.
Well, yes, really, it is not easy to predict the production and other numbers for a crop, the majority of which is produced in households. Well, still we are quite sure that very impressive increases in prices is very nice driver for Ukrainian household producers to sell their beans, and so it makes the traders to form bigger parcels and to offer them to export. So this is the regarding the notes about the supply demand. And as for the quality requirements, yes, it is a question number one, as Ukrainian farmers needing equipment for cleaning, for calibration, for packaging of beans and other pulses. Well, as for the stronger European requirements as for using of chemicals and other and pesticides in production, well, firstly, this depends on the usage of proper technology, and for sure in small household it is unlikely that they use a great number of pesticides, for example, or other chemicals.
Well, for sure. So guys, sometimes though it's know-how, it's also what is inherent within the land, not just the input that you add to it. So that's important. It goes without saying that the rural dimension might be impacting on the overall quality in the system. So I have a further question for Oleg at this stage. Apart from technology, and perhaps you ask for support for international partners in the bean industry in Ukraine. So perhaps you're lacking at this stage the specialized combined harvesters such as Bidwell or Pickett that other parts of the world enjoy, especially in the colored bean production. But do you see at this key stage in the season that there is a renewed interest for farmers to acquire new seeds, or is the interest for corn and what Nick was saying, the easy life in a way of corn and soy farming compared to beans being of more interest to Ukrainian farmers?
I'm sorry,
Ну,
yes. Well,
наверное, как и везде, их интересует зарабатывать больше и при этом вкладывать меньше, ну, как и каждого. Но самое главное, что их беспокоит, это непонимание продукта. Для них этот продукт есть немного новый, и специфика его выращивания требует своих технологических моментов, вот, этапов, оборудования, технологий.
Yeah.
Этого они не знают, им нужно помогать. Их нужно сопровождать агрономически, возможно, создавать определенные союзы производителей фасоли для того, чтобы, объединяя их, проводить специальные семинары, специализованные, обучающие технологиям выращивания, подбор оборудования специального. Но и очень важно, конечно, это семена. Это то, чем мы занимаемся сейчас, чем занимаются наши научные сотрудники, наши R&D отдел.
Okay. Thank you, Oleg. Thank you very much. Again, know-how and share knowledge, again, as well as an enabling environment, perhaps, of inputs is a key factor in the development of this commodity. And since we only have a few more minutes to go, I'm afraid I'd like to ask Michael about the organic background in bean supply from Ukraine. I find that Ukraine is growing more and more as a key originator for organics, perhaps in comparison to other non-EU suppliers such as Turkey. What is your take in this growing profile from this origin?
Yeah, Katja, you're absolutely right. So Ukraine is generally evolving as a larger supplier of organic products, and same in beans. Although I fully agree with what Nick said and also what Oleg said, Ukraine is not a mature bean market yet. It's, a lot of growers have tried it, still need to gain experience. My point of view, it's not so much a question of seed. There's good seed available. It's more a question of agronomical technology, especially in harvesting and storing and drying as well. So lots of mistakes being made. And as I said, the key driver for the growth has been the ability of Ukrainian exporters to find markets for lower quality as well. Otherwise, there would be lots of stocks left that you couldn't sell into the, let's say, call it Western European market, because it's not cannibal quality. So for the specifically for the organic market in pulses, Ukraine so far, I think, is a supplier of chickpeas and lentils, which are easier to grow products and also easier to process. The beans, it requires a top quality to find an attractive organic market, because organic buyers usually use them for canning or packaging. The beans have to look nice, they have to can nice. So I'm not aware of any low quality organic markets, and that could be the showstopper. So there's a lot of entrepreneurs in Ukraine that are trying new things, which is generally very good, because I'm German. German farmers don't like to try new things. But you have to be, you have to be brave, and you have to stay on for a while before it's successful. So we see it developing, and we certainly see a market developing, especially in Europe. The organic market is growing here. But it will take a general improvement on quality to get that market share. I think it's there. I think what certainly speaks for Ukraine is the competitiveness on price, but it has to become competitive on quality as well, because otherwise the price won't help. The showstopper will be the quality. That's my concern right now, but I'm pretty sure down the road in a couple of years, Ukraine will get there.
Definitely, I completely agree with you, Michael. Actually, there's sometimes in the lesser quality or looking quality of organics is more of a quality trademark when you're dealing with organics. And also perhaps another key factor for Ukraine is also time to market. Being able to transport by road into Europe is definitely, especially during these times, we heard from the other panels about logistic distress by sea. That is also another key advantage point. So sadly, we could go on talking about what excites us live beings for another couple of hours, but sadly, this panel is drawing to a close. So it leaves for me just the time to thank our analyst, Sergei Feolifov, and our distinguished panelists, Oleg Bilyevets, Nick Halliwell, and Michael Kemperdick. And wish you and the audience and all PGC members a very happy Pulse Day 2021. Thank you very much for joining us today.
И спасибо вам.
Спасибо.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Да, до свидания.